Okay, here we are. We're going to try and just finish off our cowl all together so it all looks really neat and tidy. And this line through here is where we grafted our work. And you will see that where all the other stripes are nice and long, these stripes are broken. So we want to actually join over the graft and just duplicate stitch just those broken stripes. So we've got all the tools we need. We've got yarn, just the colourful yarn, or just the yarn you used when you held it single. That's the only yarn you need. Scissors and a yarn needle. So let's get started. First of all, I'm just going to thread myself up a reasonable length of yarn, and then I'm going to figure out where to start, and I might just start here. Why not? I'm going to start here where that little stitch has broken. Now I have to be careful not to work through to the back, but I should be fine. And I'm going to duplicate from this stitch here right the way through up to this stitch. There's 4 stitches that I need to create in here. Now the first thing I want to do is to get into that stitch so I can come up and around and back down again. So I'm going to poke my yarn through from the other side into the middle of the stitch below, and I'm going to get rid of my end in a minute. So I'll leave a bit of a tail and I'll get rid of that. I'll weave it away in a minute. But for now, I've come up the middle of a stitch. Now I want to reach up and grab 2 legs above into the garter, into the part of garter, and I'll go up and around and back down into that same stitch again. And then I'm going to go next door into the middle of the next stitch, like so. And then I'm going to go up and reach into the stitch above. I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to go back down and into that stitch. Now, without going through both pieces of fabric right through to the back, I'm going to reach up and I'm going to go out through the middle of that right hand stitch that I've just created. And then I'm going to reach up and I'm going to reach right into the stitch at the top here that I'm trying to join up with, the 2 legs of that stitch. Come down, back through the center of the stitch I've just worked, into the next column, stitches here. Then I'll come up through both legs of the stitch in the row above, and back down again. Now this time I'm going to actually reach over, I'm just going to knit straight, I'm going to sew straight over to the next broken stripe. So I'll reach behind that stitch that I've just worked. I'm going to go into the last stitch that I'm trying to join to the stitches above. Here it is here. And pop my needle out. Can you see that? Pull that firm. And if you look back, I've joined that stripe. So now it's one whole stripe, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm not going to worry about my tail yet. At least, the very least, it's going to tell me where I started. I am going to have to change yarn part the way through. But here I am. I've popped out the center of the stitch that I'm trying to join to the ones above. I'm going to reach around and grab 2 legs of the stitch above. And then down and into that stitch again and over to the one next to it. So always taking care not to join the front to the back. Then I'm going to go up, reach into that stitch above, 2 legs of the stitch above. I'm making that little shape, that little teardrop shape, around and around and around like so. And then I'm going to go through the bottom again, where I just came out here. And I'm going to go above to the stitch I created first over here, and out the middle of that one. And then I'm going to catch the 2 legs of the one I'm trying to join up to, and back down through the middle of that stitch and around to the right again, to the left. Yeah. and then up, catch the two legs of the stitch I'm trying to join up to, and back down into the middle again. And then I'm going to reach over, taking care not to join them all together, to the next stripe that needs joining. And there we go. We're just starting to fill in these stripes so they're nice long stripes again, and you don't notice where we've grafted through. So it all ends up being really neat. You work your way right the way round till you get to the end and weave your ends away.